Welcome back to Close Up, everyone. Like the previous guest, who is officially now running for Congress, our next guest seriously considering a run, but in the second CD, Republican Representative Jack Flanagan joins us to talk about his political future this morning. How are you?
Good, Josh. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, I mean, you've been talking about this for a while.
Yes.
How close are you?
I'm pretty close. I'm thinking the next couple of weeks I'll have a decision made. I've been going to different GOP groups in the southern tier of the state. I haven't trekked up to the northern part because this congressional district goes all the way to Canada. But we'll wait until it starts getting a little warmer. But yeah, it's been very positive, and I've actually even heard from some Democrats who are talking about supporting me if I decide to run.
You know, it's wide. A lot of people are talking about running in the first CD in the Republican field. Right now, basically, it would be you, unless somebody else jumps into this thing. And you know, people think, well, it's a Democratic district, and it's tough to beat somebody who's well-funded like an Andy Custer.
Yeah, very well-funded.
How do you do it?
I think it's on the ground. I think it's meeting people and getting to know them. I mean, I think I have the background, obviously being in the legislature for 3 terms, and I've been multiple-term school board members down in Brookline and selectmen, and of course, you know, I've worked in the private sector. So I think once they get to know me and compare positions, I mean, I have a very simple philosophy as far as legislative positions. 1, is it constitutional? 2, does it make sense? In other words, are we trying to fix a problem that's out there? And 3, do we have any unintended consequences? And if you look at Washington, D.C. right now, they're missing the boat on number 2.
You know, you 3 terms in Concord.
Yes.
Latest, you served as the majority leader.
Correct.
Under House Speaker Sean Jasper.
Yep.
What will you point to as when people say, all right, what have you done? What's your background?
Oh, well, we did a lot of things. We actually, in December of 14, set goals. Remember our caucus we had, where all the members in the Republican Party got together, and we talked about getting what we wanted to get done. And surprisingly, we got almost all of them done. A balanced budget. We've got incentives for businesses.
Took a while.
Well, it's a 6-month, you know, process. But we got, yeah, with the veto of the budget too. I assume that's what you're talking about.
Well, it's budget processes in general. But
yeah, but I mean, we made it more enticing for businesses to come to the state. Obviously, our unemployment rate's at 3%. So we did a lot of good things. We did things with the testing of our kids for Common Core testing. And then the president, a month later, said it's a good idea, which is what we did, SATs at the high school level. Yeah. So when I look back, we increased funding for the drug abuse by 75% in our recent budget. So yeah, we did a lot of things that we wanted to do, set goals, and was successful.
Let me ask you about that. Obviously, heroin is a major issue, and we call it, say heroin, but it's opioid crisis, which does involve heroin, the fentanyl and all that. You authored a bill. Interesting philosophy. Your bill's, I'm not sure where that stands right now, but there's a couple other ones that are just like it, which would create a registry, a heroin dealer registry, focus on the criminal aspect of this sort of thing. It's an interesting philosophy. There's some constitutional questions about it. But why do you think that's the right approach? Because some people say, you know what, that's the scarlet letter approach. We got to give these people a hand up.
I'm going to say that it's one part of the process. In other words, I think we have to educate our kids. We have to help the ones that are addicted already. There's the dealer part, which is what we're referring to now, and I honestly believe there's the law enforcement piece, which, if you remember, we did was cocaine issue a number of years ago, and we reduced that amount too. I think the list is a process where we can make it harder for the dealers to be selling. My bill, I don't believe it passed out of committee, but there are 2 other bills, similar type of thing. Sure. And as it relates to the constitutionality, I mean, the internet is out there too. I mean, if you're arrested for selling heroin, it's not like it's not public already. Yeah,
I mean, but there's a deterrent factor, which I think is what you were going for with that.
Absolutely.
And another interesting piece of legislation you're working on is expansion of the death penalty. Here in New Hampshire, there's certain standards that have to be met, certain crimes that have to be committed. Yours would speak to, you know, obviously something that's on a lot of people's mind, and that's terrorism. Yes,
a former Supreme Court Judge Chuck Douglas approached me. He's actually a former congressman too, and we had a conversation about it. And I know there's a lot of issues about the death penalty, but when it comes to terrorist attacks, there's not much doubt left in how people feel about it. So he helped draft the legislation, and it's going to be heard, I think, on Friday.
Yeah, why not just take the death penalty and let the jurors decide if the punishment fits the crime? Because the way New Hampshire reads, certain things, I mean, it's been expanded recently with the Mount Vernon home invasion. But still, I mean, there's other crimes that could be committed out there and be like, well, you know, it doesn't fit the death penalty.
Well, I think New Hampshire has always been specific on crime as it relates to death penalty, like the killing of a police officer. We added breaking and entering and committing a crime in the home. And now this one, I think it's sort of the New Hampshire way. I don't think they want to say anybody can be accused of the death penalty. They want to, you know, be succinct, and if you do this crime, then this is the level of penalty that you may or may not occur.
So you like the way it is?
I do, and what it does is it goes through the legislative process, the House, the Senate, and of course the governor.
Sure.
But it does elevate that terrorist act. And to be honest with you, in Massachusetts, they didn't have this legislation, and that's why it had to go to federal court.
All right. Well, I got deeper into that than I wanted to.
Okay.
We'll talk about it more further when you're officially a candidate.
Inside baseball, which is
not
great.
really. It's important to people.
2 weeks is pitchers and catchers, right?
Pretty soon, I know that.
Yeah.
But it's Sunday now, but we're taping on Wednesday, so I'm all confused. But let me ask you, I asked this of Representative Tucker a moment ago.
Sure.
The selection of a Supreme Court justice, obviously a lot of contention surrounding this. Republican leaders in Washington, D.C. want to wait until there's a new president. Do you agree with them?
Can I say yes and no?
You can.
And let me tell you, let me clarify. It is constitutionally, the president has the right to nominate. And constitutionally, the Senate has a right to approve.
But does it send the right message to have Republican leaders in a city that everybody says can't get anything done anyway to say, you know what, we're not doing anything, don't even try until there's a new president? Now we'll see what happens if there's a Republican president or not.
I don't have a position on it right now, Josh. I mean, I don't think I can answer in 1 minute because there's...
You're lucky you haven't candidacy yet. That's good.
Well, the other thing, too, is it doesn't come to the House. It's managed in the Senate.
Sure, it is. But, so, you know, it's a philosophical opinion.
Philosophical, I think Justice Alito... no, excuse me.
Scalia.
No, it's Scalia. Was a strict constitutionalist, which is great, because as a legislator, I want the Supreme Court to only look at it as it relates to the Constitution as written. It's when you start interpreting the Constitution in the roundabout ways to come up with verdicts that...
All right, see, now this is deeper than I wanted to get.
Yeah,
I was wondering whether you thought that it was a good idea to wait.
Yeah.
But you'll let us know, because I'll ask you that again when you do make your decision right here on the show, right? You're going to do that? I'm not going to hold you to it. One quick question, though. Donald Trump. A lot of people wondered about, you know, who were thinking about running for Congress, really wanted to see how things were shaking out with the primary and who was going to be at the top of it. And the thinking was at one point, well, if it's Donald Trump, maybe that's not a good pathway for Republicans. Maybe people are rethinking it. Are you?
I supported Governor Kasich. As a matter of fact, I came out early. I supported him in June. I think I was one of the first supporters. I think voters will vote the way they want to. In the case of Mr. Trump, I think he's saying some things that people are thinking. I don't think the same way he does, but I just think that there's a block of people who believe what he's saying is what they believe in. I think what'll happen is the process will work itself out, and if he's the vote getter, he's the vote getter, just like whether it's Mrs. Clinton or Senator Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, right?
Yes. The other thing, though, is that we can't, you know, tell people one way or the other vote. They have to take their individual decision.
Sometimes we got to leave it to the voters, right?
Exactly, and that's the way we do it. And I'm glad my guy finished second in New Hampshire.
Yeah, you had a good day. All right, thanks very much for joining us. Let us know when you make a decision.
Can I put in a gratuitous plug for Flanagan, the number 4NH?
Go.
Flanagan 4NH. It's my website. If you have any inquiries or want to know a little bit more about me, there it is.
There it is. And a place to donate there if you want
Absolutely. Press the red button.
I figured there would be. All right, thanks very much.
Thanks.